Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to today's talk based on AI influency for careers. We have a special guest with us today, Faraz Tahir Saab. Faraz Tahir Saab is a senior software architect and also an AI specialist. With over a decade of experience, he's been driving innovation across the tech industry. He's held multiple roles, including at Dell Technologies and Clearstorm, and he brings with him a wealth of experience. Currently, Faraz Saab is actually studying at the University of Oxford, and he's studying artificial intelligence and quantum computing. Faraz Saab combines deep industry experiences with academic research to help organizations to navigate the rapid evolving landscape of emerging technologies. So Faraz Saab, I think you're going to be sharing your presentation as well.
Yes, I will be. Jazakallah for the kind introduction, and Jazakallah to everybody who's joined the call. So I'll share my screen here. Right. Okay. So, am I audible enough? Just to check before I jump in.
Faraz Saab, I can hear you fine. If anyone does have any issue with the volume, do please let me know.
Right. Okay. Jazakallah. Right. Okay. So I think I'll get started. So AI, as you know, is a very broad subject, and given the time, I don't think we can cover it in too detail. But the way I have structured the presentation is primarily just to level set what AI is and what are different branches that exist within it. I might use some textbook definitions as well, which might be slightly technical, but I will straight away jump into the more practical side of things, which is more rampant in the industry at the moment. So with that, I will start. Um, so what is AI? I'm sure that most of us on the call would have used AI in some shape or form, primarily generative AI, with ChatGPT or Perplexity or other tools that are available. But just to give a little bit of a textbook definition of it, what AI is the ability of the machines to perform tasks that typically require human intelligence, such as learning, reasoning, language, and decision making. And if you take those attributes and put it into a machine, that's artificial intelligence. And then there's different branches to it on the right that you're seeing here. And each one of these branch then pivots into one specific career trajectory as well. So machine learning is essentially about learning patterns from data, similar to how our brains learn from our environment, and we have data collected in our brain for a very long time, and then we build those patterns and convert that into a usable knowledge. So machine learning is essentially a study of doing that pattern recognition. Then deep learning is more advanced form of that, and that uses neural networks to essentially um, learn those patterns, and that's the main technology that's driving this new AI revolution. And Gen AI is also at the back using deep learning. All the back and forth that you're having with ChatGPT is primarily driven by deep learning algorithms. And then you have natural language processing. And natural language processing is a study of how natural language is interpreted by the computers and then generate text. So again, this goes into the career trajectory of NLP engineers. It's a quite niche field, but there's still some jobs available on the market in the same kind of subdomain within AI. Then you have computer vision, which is about interpreting images and videos. And this has quite wide applications, including biomedical to autonomous vehicles and even drones and robotics as well. So, and then you have robotics again. It's quite self-explanatory anyways, but robotics is about interaction with the physical world. You sense it and then actuate it. And that's another field altogether, but it comes under the umbrella of AI. And then we have generative AI, which is where the whole buzz about AI is about. And that's about creating content. So, as you can tell from the name itself, it generates content for you. So you ask it a question and it will give you an answer, and that's where the power of this whole deep learning paradigm is. So with that, I'll move on to my next slide. And as you can see here, there's a lot of this slide is primarily just to demystify some of the fear mongering that's happening in the broader market. And if you look at some of the snippets that I've put together here from news outlets, you see a lot of layoffs and redundancies happening in, especially in law firms and tech companies alike. I just wanted to iterate on that. Although there disruption in the market, but it's not like it's just out of thin air. So you would have heard of this phrase, AI won't replace you, but someone's using AI will. So it's important that you adapt to the new tech and learn the new ways of working. Although there is some truth to the statement that there are layoffs happening, but somebody who is well adapted to the new technology, they won't face such issues, and we'll cover a bit of that in the next few slides. So what's actually happening is AI is entering every role, and it's not just tech. It's entering into marketing, legal, sales, GTM, you name a field, and it's there. So it's important that we realize that what so as a domain expert in any field, you need to ask yourself this question: how I can take AI and apply that to my domain. And that's the only way you can keep up to date with the changing landscape. And I think one of the most important bits here is this employer in today's day and age is valuing adaptability. And that's a very core competency that's needed more than a technical skill. If you are an adaptable person and you can learn quickly and then apply that, adaptability is needed more than ever before in this changing landscape. So what AI is already doing? It's already helping in a lot of areas, and this list is by no means exhaustive, but just covering a few of them. So it can act as a really good research partner with you, and it can so you can bounce off ideas. You can even some of the newer models that are coming out can do even mathematical modeling. So you have to be the expert in the field, but you can have that thought partnership with AI to do your work. Then it's really good at analyzing data and generating insights. And in any fields like accounting or financial modeling or any other fields, which, well, almost any business is generating data in some way, shape, or form. So if you bring AI into that, you can get insights out of that data using AI. Then the next one here, oh, sorry. The next one here is it helps you write code, debug, and design. So that's the core area that where I work in as well. And I can tell you that the manual way of writing code and that era is gone. So you have coding co-pilots in almost all the companies, and you have to work with it. But that doesn't mean that the job of software engineering is gone. It just means that you will work at a higher level of abstraction. Previously, you used to write code. Now you have to orchestrate AI to write that code, but you still need to because AI, the code is the last piece in the puzzle, anyways, in software development. So you need to understand broader architectural patterns, domain-driven design, any other I won't go into technical jargons here, but there's tons of things that ha need to happen before you reach the code stage. So you have more time and power to do those things than writing code. Then it also is a very good helper in decision making. So you can bounce off ideas with it. Again, just to reiterate, AI is not replacing jobs. It's replacing some of the tasks within those jobs. And to give you again example here, if let's say there is a paralegal staff working in a law firm, paralegal is a person who kind of do all the operational heavy work to write contracts for the law firms. and they kind of go on to the clients, get the signatures, assemble the documents, and all that. So if a law firm usually have two or three or maybe more of them, and if those, for example, three paralegal staff in a law firm has a throughput of 10 clients a day, but with the use of AI, they can have a throughput of 30 clients a day. So that's a huge efficiency gain. And the law firms, when they are hiring people, they will obviously look for those things because they want to improve their profits, and they want to bring in people who are actually good with AI, and they can actually use that to have better throughput in their work. Right. So what this means for you is, of course, your role will evolve. It won't disappear overnight, but you will have to manage AI moving forward more than doing the grunt work. And your value is equal to what AI cannot do alone. So you have to make sure that what are the things that AI can't do, and you be more strategic in your work. So, and just from the previous slide, I think it's good to have a little bit of thinking around how AI interacts, how you interact with AI. There are a few different layers to it. So you have automation where AI does work for you, and it follows explicit instructions, and that's kind of the basic layer where you tell AI to do something, and it will just return the result. And then you have augmentation, where you and AI collaboratively work together. Um, and I believe the most of the work and how the work is changing is in this layer, where you and the AI work together, and that's how you're producing really good work as well, because you can't take human out of the loop totally. And then the third layer is agency, where AI works independently on your behalf, and that's where the agentic AI stuff is coming in. And that's, I think, is one of the reasons for this fear mongering around AI and the job losses. But I believe we are far from having totally autonomous systems. There are some areas where this is probably applicable even today, but it's not totally, you can't totally make autonomous systems like that in broader enterprise landscape. Right, so before I jump into the next slide, I'll take a small pause here if anybody has any questions, because the core piece of the presentation is around AI fluency and how you can work with AI, and that's after this slide. So I just want to take a pause if anybody has any questions. No? Okay, so I'll move on to the next slide then.
But also, there's two questions. The first question is, will you be sharing the slide deck?
Yeah, I can share it after the call. I mean, this video will be recorded anyways, but I can share the slide deck as well.
And the second question is that AI has this habit of hallucinations. How do you overcome that?
Yeah, and that's exactly a nice segue question into this next conversation about a fluency framework. I mean, it's probabilistic model, so you can't really get over it totally, but you can mitigate it by being a good co-partner with AI. And I'll discuss that a little bit more in this next piece here in AI fluency. Any more questions?
Jazakallah, that's it. Thank you.
Right. Exactly. Okay, so I've put together this A-Fluency framework, which is essentially built by Anthropic, which is a company behind Claude Code. And I purposely didn't put any code tools here because in the market the tools are coming in every day, and there's a new tool, you name it, and there's a tool out in the market. Um, the important thing is to build a mental model around how you work with AI. So my presentation is primarily focused on the mindset shift, and it's not focused on too much on the tool set. You can learn the tool set is more skill focused. You can go on and learn those skills online pretty easily. But it's important that you have some sort of a mental framework when you're working with AI, and that's what this is about, as somebody's mentioned just now. that AI hallucinates, and that's a very common problem with AI. So you have to work with it. So that's what this AI fluency framework is about, that you have to work with AI and not just use it. And I think the best use I've seen so far with AI is when you, as an efficiency boost. So you as a human work with AI capability and improve your overall efficiency of the work. And knowing when to trust, question, and refine the AI is kind of the core piece in this framework. So with that, this framework is called a 4D framework, again built by Anthropic, the company behind Claude. It starts with delegation and then moves down into diligence. It's like a wheel where you need to move through these phases of getting better output from AI. So what is delegation? So if there are people on the call who are in management or leadership roles, they probably would have. Sorry. Right. So if there are people on the call who are in management or leadership roles, they would know that what delegation is and how to do it. With working with people, you need to take work from them. But in order to do that, you need to have really good problem awareness before you can delegate. And same applies to an AI. So what you need to do is to have a really strong problem awareness, and you are a domain expert in having that problem awareness. Then once you have that problem awareness, then you can move into platform awareness, which is more toolset side of things. And once you understand that platform, then you can delegate it. So the key thing here is that you can delegate the repetitive task or drafting and those kind of things to AI, but you have to be a decision maker on that. So you have to be an expert and you need to orchestrate AI with and build strategy around how you will work it, and then give some work to AI to delegate. So the key question that you have to ask yourself is, should I delegate this thing that I'm working on to AI or not? Then the next one is description. In simple terms, it's clear inputs would lead to better outputs. So you have to be very methodical in how you're writing your prompts or to get your outputs from AI. But there's a whole big subject around context engineering that's surfacing as well in the recent past. Because just inputs won't always lead to better outputs, and your model will hallucinate more. So you need to give a lot more context to it. And then there are long form models that are coming out where you can actually persist more context and with longer context windows and all that. That can help you do that. But it's important that you have very clear inputs, and then that would lead to better outputs, but given the context in which those inputs and outputs are. And the next one is discernment. I believe this is the most important one, working with AI. So AI can be the confident person in the room, which is totally talking nonsense. So you have to be careful when you're working with it, and you have to check for any logic and bias and any missing info. Because you are the expert, and you just have to orchestrate AI in a way that's producing you the right results. And then you have to compare multiple outputs, and then again, the skill that's needed to do all this is your own critical thinking. But you can refine, there's a whole other concept about AI evals and how you can refine those things and make the prompts better to reduce hallucination further. But I think at the most basic level, you will need at least these things to work with AI. And then diligence. I think that's the most important bit. I've seen even in tech companies, a lot of even software developers just churn the code out of AI tooling and just put it into their merge request, which is not great. So you are responsible for your own outcomes, so you can't really blame it on the AI. So anything that you're producing out of AI needs to be checked, and you need to have all the ethics, safety, and accuracy in mind when you're writing that. and only use AI in a trustworthy way. So that's kind of the four key pillars that you need to keep in mind at a very basic level when you're working with AI. So you would probably get better results, and then you can work with any tool with these in mind. Right, so just to summarize that, so Fluent users who work with AI don't ask once, they iterate over their outputs. And then this is kind of the core loop. You kind of describe, AI responds, then you discern. Basically, you evaluate the output as an expert, whatever output is coming out with. Then you refine, improve the prompt, and then repeat the process. It's like a loop until you reach your goal. Um, so that kind of covers the framework itself. Then the next slide is on all the tools that are in the market. I'm not going to cover any of these tools in specific. Some of you might have used some of these tools. And there is a bigger list than this that I use. And like, for example, ChatGPT, I'm sure most of you would have used. These kind of co-pilots are used for prototyping and even production-ready codes for some of them. And you can use elicit and consensus for research quite a lot. But there are other tools in the market, and I think if you have the right mental framework, you can use with these tool sets um, in a much better way. So that's kind of leads us into the career paths in AI. So I've kind of put together this career quadrant, I would say, with some non-technical roles. So non-technical roles are primarily marketing, HR, sales, and legal. And all of them are touched quite heavily with AI. So it's not just, again, technical roles. So for example, marketing. A lot of marketing, like creating ad copies and even traditional SEO, all that has shifted and changed now. There are new and better tools to do marketing, so anybody who's in marketing needs to learn those things. Again, with HR, a lot of that is also getting automated, but obviously there are regulatory issues there. But companies like Jack and Jill in UK, for example, they fully automated the whole screening life cycle for recruitment. Then same with sales and legal. There's a lot of changes happening there. So as any domain expert, you have to go out there and see what AI can do for you, and then bring that into your workflow. That's how you will kind of continue on that spectrum. Then you have technical roles. They are more specific to people who are in the trenches of AI, and there are kind of different roles within it, like ML engineer. They kind of manage production pipelines for the models that primarily your data scientists come up with. Then AI engineer is relatively new. It's about integrating with LLMs in your SaaS applications or even agentic applications. And then your forward deployed engineers, this is also a new role that has emerged because of AI. So what happens with AI is it's not really so if you build agentic platform or AI platform, it's not easy to get it deployed into the client side. So what happens is you would have a forward deployed engineer that would be put into the client, and then that engineer will actually create a bespoke integration of that client with the platform. These are quite good roles, and it's still emerging. Then you have hybrid roles. Again, data analyst is still there, but it's changing as well. So data analyst creates the beautiful stories for executives, and so it's important that they also bring in AI and data ontologies on top of this to do it in a better and efficient way. Again, product managers, this role has evolved significantly. I've seen a lot of product managers that I'm working with as well, that they previously they used to do customer interviews and then talk to UI UX and build those things. But now what's happening is they're just going on to Lovable, create a full demo of the application that they want, and then take it to the customers, and then take the feedback directly on a demo application. So that whole landscape is also changing quite significantly. So anybody who's in this role needs to probably upskill themselves. Again, there's some emerging roles like prompt engineer, AI ethics. There are not a lot of roles in this space, but they're emerging. And again, just to summarize this, I think the best thing is to combine your domain expertise, be it marketing, HR, sales, or tech, with AI skills to work more efficiently. Right. So the next one, this deserves probably a presentation on its own, but I've just added it just as a prompt because the barrier to entry into business has significantly lowered because of AI. And I think I know a few people in my friendship circle who's even created like a three-person team and have done quite well with their startups. So if you have any idea, you can really work with co-pilots to generate and demo your application. A lot of VC money is going into the startups at this time, and I think it will go on for another few years at least. So if somebody has an idea, they can probably look into that. And the last one, do you need any certifications? I would encourage to do certifications. They are good. They attest your knowledge in the field. Like you can do it from any of these big tech companies. Anthropic has its own learning resources and certification path that you can do. But I think anybody can do that. So you have to differentiate yourself. And in this day and age, I think creating real project use cases, even though if you're not on a job, is not that difficult. You can do it in your own time, build a project, and then show how you use AI in real work. I think that's what will differentiate you in the market. So it's important that you, alongside certifications, do these real projects as well. I think that concludes the presentation.
Uh,
Any
Nakula. First, we've got a number of questions that have come in. Um, the first question is, how can we improve AI generated text, ensuring it doesn't become problematic? And I think they're talking about plagiarism here.
Yeah, I think that's a whole different topic because I mean plagiarism obviously you'll have to humanize the text as much as possible, and I would encourage you not to do that in first place if you're writing your dissertation. You can use it as a thought partner, but not to fully take all the text and put it into your assignments or dissertations. But there are tools to humanize if you really want to do it. And there are tools out there to humanize the AI generated content. It's not too great, but it will help you get away from the plagiarism issue at least.
Exactly for us. I think as someone who myself has used a lot of AI for generative text, I think using AI for a draft, not the final version, that's really important.
Yeah.
And when you have text that is AI generated, I think for all of us it's quite obvious when someone posts something on social media, or you may even see it on WhatsApp. Sometimes you see the emojis and some other things, and it's very obvious that this has been made by AI.
Yes.
And another thing very important is, okay, you're using AI to generate the text, but is that text actually correct factually? So, as it was mentioned earlier about hallucinations and AI, well, AI gets things wrong. So don't take that, as we say in English, don't take it as gospel.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Rasa, the next question is, I see so many AI tools online. Are they real or are they a scam? And following on from that, can AI tools boost your CV?
Well, the tools that you're seeing in the market, it depends on what tools you're talking about, but there are most of the tools out there, if they have real traction, some might be scams as well, but it depends on what you're looking at. Um, but a lot of new agentic kind of AI stuff with enterprise clients, they can't be really scam. Um, yeah, like it depends on the tool that you're looking at. Is really yeah, as much as I can tell you on that one. What was the other part of the question? Sorry.
Can AI tools boost your CV?
Yes, they do, but again, it's something that anybody can write on their CV. So if you can complement that with some real projects and use cases that you've built using those tools, then that's what will kind of differentiate you in the market.
Exactly. And just following on for that, I think AI tools, well, some are excellent, and we know that, and they're genuinely useful. But there are some which just have flashy marketing. So I remember in the early days of AI, there were a lot of tools coming out for generative text. So there was very much a limit on how much text that AI could create at that time, GPT and so on and so forth, without having to fork out for those extra tokens. Um, so a lot of companies kind of created these flashy websites where they were asking for money and allowing you to actually have very, very long generated text. So maybe that's useful for you, but you're paying quite a big premium for that as well. Before using any tool, when it comes to AI, I think it's very important to understand who built it. Always look for reviews out there. There can be fake reviews, but if you use a bit of common sense, you can work out if that review is real or not. And another thing is, if you look at privacy policies of companies, that actually gives away a lot with the privacy and so on, especially around AI. That's very, very important to use. Regarding AI boosting your CV, I think one thing we must realize is when you actually upload your CV, it's AI that's checking it nowadays. Even before it gets to the recruiter or gets to the company, it is
Right.
checked by AI. Yeah. So you've got to beat that AI system. And we also already have some talks by Rehan Saab. So you can look at our Sanato Tijarat's YouTube channel, and there's some talks where he talks about the CVs and how to update your CV so it passes this AI check.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a good point. A lot of like the company that I just mentioned, Jack and Jill, they have complete full kind of a hiring loop based on just your CV input. So if that's not right, and it screens people out really quickly. So you have to be careful with what you're putting in.
Absolutely, absolutely, Zakala. The next question is from Muzaffar Saab. Muzaffar Saab asks, for someone wanting to build agents, how would you recommend their training path and the resources they use?
So for AI agent, that's quite an emerging field. I think what you could do is, f first of all, you can use some sort of drag and drop tooling like Crew AI, or there are builders out there where you can just drag and drop and build the connections in the tools that are needed for those agents to orchestrate your workflow. So that's the first bit. But in order to take it to some sort of an enterprise or customer level, I think you can then go in a little bit deeper on LangChain and LangGraph. There are tooling around that to build those agents. That you can use those to actually build it that way. But just as a starter, I would say to get the concepts right and understand it fully, it's you can use any 10 builders or QA. Those are available on the market. They're quite good with kind of a visual understanding of AI agents.
Exactly, exactly. Absolutely. I think just understanding how the AI models work at a high level is very important. And
Yeah.
just learning prompt design and very importantly, APIs, because APIs become a big part of this. So, yeah, build very small projects, learn simple projects, and then start solving some real problems. You may need to use a bit of Python, maybe some APIs, but all of this information is very, very readily available. So you don't even have to pay. You can go to YouTube. There are so many different videos up on YouTube. And once you pick one good channel that you know is good, full of good information, you'll see that AI is very popular. So they are nowadays uploading quite regularly. So try and follow some of these good channels. I know there are in MKA talks there are some good channels, and hopefully in the Sunday department we can also pass some of these channels over to the audience here, inshallah. The next question is it safe to share AI personal information? So I think your personal information or customer information.
I don't think it's safe, and I know a lot of people use AI for therapeutic reasons as well, for mental health questions and those kind of things. If you think they're confidential to you, probably best idea is not to share with AI, unless you know how it's built. I wouldn't personally put personal information or customer information specifically and personal as well. I wouldn't put into AI.
Jazakallah. The next question is a little bit of a long-winded question. The question is, AI is replacing many jobs. For someone to ensure their job security in a specific field, especially in pharmaceutical industry or the healthcare, what should they focus on? I think for us, I'll let you answer that before we move on to the second part of the question.
Right. I think I've covered a bit of that in the presentation itself. It's important that as a domain expert, for example, if you're a pharmacist or a healthcare professional, it's important that you ask yourself this question on how you can bring AI into those workflows as a pharmacist or as a healthcare professional, and where you can best leverage it and where your industry is moving with respect to AI, and then learn from that. I'm not an expert in healthcare domain or pharmacy. So, but what I can tell you is you have to ask this question yourself and look at how you can bring AI into some of your workload. I'm sure there will be talks and conferences in your own particular domain as well that can give you some of that information. But it's more about looking into your own domain and kind of joining that with AI and how you can best work with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I fully agree with you, for I think you don't want to be competing with AI. You want to work with AI. So there are certain skills that you can't replace them. AI can't. Things like judgment, the your communication, your ethics, the way that you work with individuals one to one. So these are very, very important. The second part of the question is those who are software engineers, how can they make sure to keep up with what problems need to be solved?
I think for software engineering, I can speak in particular because I'm from the same field. So I think for software engineering, the landscape has shifted from just technical to a product. So you have to understand that as a software engineer, you're solving a problem for the company. It's not just that you're writing code. And if you're solving a problem, previously there were structured process around somebody writing your Jira tickets and then engineers start taking that up. But as we are moving more towards AI and agentic AI kind of an era, that part of the work is getting easier and more like it's more efficient for you to do. Where you can put your focus now is more towards architecture and how you can impact, how can you be a force multiplier in the organization, um, primarily by driving good architectures and have that centricity in when you're dealing with your problems and have that product mindset. I think that's very important. If you and knowing languages is probably not that much important anymore. What's more important is how what product problems you're solving, and do you have the customer centricity in your mind? Even in your CV, if you see the signals that the hiring managers look for, is what problem you've solved for the customer and what impact it had, rather than what particular tech you've used to solve it. So it's more about a mindset shift, change that towards more product mindset and also architectural decision making, and how you can be a force multiplier on those fronts.
Jazakallah Farasa. Kadi Sab, I noticed that you've had your hand up for a little bit of time. Would you like to come off mute and ask your question?
Yeah, assalamu alaikum. So,
But
yeah, my question is it may not be exactly on this topic you handle today, because what I've seen in this AI is just to see the capability of what AI can do. But for some of us, we try to put it to the Sana Tijarat. How can we have a very well dedicated training on how to use these tools? Because some of us are we don't know it from scratch, so we have to develop it from scratch. So how is it possible to know how to use this tool? So, and I know for sure a 1 hour class that we are having on this Mondays will not be a good class for that. So that's why I'm saying it may not be a question for today. And at the same time, the lecturer also can give us an idea. And like you have mentioned before, that we can see many of these in the YouTube channel. I agree with you. That I can say one, 1 million types of, but we don't know which one to pick because we don't know, and it's not easy to ask. Like a one-on-one question when a training is ongoing, so that you know what it is. So that's why I'm just putting this forward. Thank you. Jazakallah.
And Jazakallah. As you rightly say, I think a 1 hour session every Monday is probably not going to do justice to learning AI. But the Standards Judge Department, right from the inception of AI, have been looking into different ways that we could expand people's knowledge. So please just be on the lookout. It is something we're working on, and inshallah, you'll see more information about this going forward.
Jazakallah. Jazakallah.
The next question is, how did AI come about?
How did it come about? Right. So, well, there is a bit of history to it. So it started from classical machine learning that I was just showing in the first slide. And if you've heard of the guy Suleiman Mustafa, who is the founder of Google DeepMind, I think he has primarily pivoted a lot from that classical machine learning into deep learning models. And he is, I think, primarily the founder of some of these things. But there's obviously scientific studies on classical machine learning that was happening for a very long time. And then it resulted after a very, I don't have the full kind of picture of what happened when, but there was a lot of studies that went into it for a very long time, and now we have these models. Essentially, what they are is they've taken the whole web and the data from the whole web and then put that into tokens, and that's what these machine learning models kind of use to generate text for you. I don't know if that answers your question, but I know there's a really big history to it. I can't really for sure answer on what happened when.
Jazakallah. The next question is from Naveed Saab, and Faraz, we are fast running out of time. There's a number of questions more, but we may not get through all of them. But the next question is today's job market tough because of AI?
It is, and yeah, it is comparative, and for you need to have some understanding of AI. So as I was you're giving an example of that paralegal person, and same applies to many other fields. If your work is very operational heavy, that's easier to be replaced with AI. So the job market definitely is comparative, and if somebody who knows AI will have an edge over somebody who doesn't, because companies are obviously leveraging to make more profits. And if somebody can have a throughput of 30, 40 clients a day, whereas somebody else is just not doing much, so they would probably prefer people who can do a lot more work than the ones. It's the efficiency gain essentially. So yeah, it is definitely more competitive.
Jazakallah. The next question is from Mansoor Saab, who asks, please elaborate on using AI in a trustworthy way.
Yeah, so it's that comment was the last pillar within the framework that I just covered. So I'll go back to that here. So it's about diligence. So whatever outputs you're getting out of AI, you have to know, you as an expert have to trust that output. It's not just AI has generated and you just pass it on. You have to basically understand that output and attest to it before passing it on, essentially.
Jazakallah. And I think we'll take one more. I think in Nasisab, so Nasisab, the slides will be shared. I think for us, we will have some way of sharing the slides with you. Then the next one, I think I'll pass on this. It was talking about bank statements and what you can do regarding editing those bank statements, but I think that's more of a joke than serious questions. So the last question we're going to take is from Suleiman Saab, which is, how do we use AI agents but make sure that the data we provide for analysis is not used for training or it remains confidential?
Yeah, so that's kind of leans into the context engineering as well. So they are RAG models. It's a technical jargon, but it's retrieval augmented generation. So you put that confidential data in a vector store, which is like it could be Pinecone or other vector stores, and you don't pass. And then when you're prompting that, that will be just a context, and that won't go into the open AI layer. That's how most of the companies are writing agents, is that they keep their data like that in a vector store, and that's not shared with the outside world.
Jazakallah. Fantastic. So we have reached the end of the speech today, and Jazakallah to everyone for joining us this evening. A special thanks to Faraz Tahir Saab for a very insightful and practical talk. I think tonight's discussion, it's made one thing very clear. AI is no longer something kind of distant or theoretical. It's really shaping the way that we work and apply for jobs, how we build our businesses, and we solve our problems, and even our day-to-day decisions that we're making in our own personal lives. I think the key message is not to simply be impressed by how good AI is, but actually learn how to use it wisely and, very importantly, with the correct responsibility. And that will go a long way in the future, because AI, it is creating already fake videos, fake text, fake social media posts, and that's a very concerning thing. So Jazakallah again to joining us. Jazakallah again to Faraz for sharing his time, experience, and for bringing a little bit of clarity to AI. And Jazakallah to everyone else to join us. And inshallah, we'll see you next week. Okay. Assalamu alaikum.
Oh,